Here at the end of the growing season is a great time to do a soil test. We can get a sample, send it in, and get the results back with plenty of time to do any adjustments or add any amendments before planting time next spring. Now, getting a soil test done every 2 or 3 years is a great idea. It helps us manage the nutrient level in our flower beds and in our lawn and vegetable gardens. And we can put down the right fertilizer and at the correct rate, and we don't have to do any guessing. Another thing a soil test does is it helps us to manage the pH of our soil and whether we need to add some limestone to make it a little more alkaline or add some sulfur to make it a little more acidic. Well, you could go to a private testing lab and spend between $60 and $100 on a soil test, or for about $10, you could utilize your county extension office and let them send a soil test to our testing lab here at OSU. But just go by your county extension office and they have a lot of materials. They have these little soil collection bags, these little sample bags where you put the soil in and send that in. There are also fact sheets and other little pamphlets to tell you how to get a good sample and show you how the price range breaks out for the different types of tests on the soil test. Well, there are some things to think about when it comes to getting a good soil sample. Now, you want to treat the different areas of your landscape as different areas. For instance, here in our herb garden, we have a number of raised beds, and when we do soil samples here, we get a separate sample for each of these different beds. That helps us maintain the nutrient level a little bit better for these different areas. The lawn maybe in your front yard should have its own sample, and maybe your backyard a separate sample, and any of the beds like that. It's a good idea to kind of separate those out and you'll get some better results. Now right here we've got a small bed that we're going to take a soil sample, and it wouldn't be a good idea for this entire bed if we just came out and just take one sample from this bed and fill up one of the bags of soil and send that in and call that our sample for this bed. It wouldn't be very representative for the whole bed. So what we need to do is take 10 random samples from various places in this bed and mix that together in this bucket. These are what I call pre-samples. Now we can use the hand trowel here and go down about 6 inches deep and take a sample of soil from the top 6 inches and put that in our bucket and get the soil samples that way. Or we could use something like this soil probe. These are sometimes available at different nurseries and garden centers, and the way these work, we just insert this in the ground, kind of twist it a little bit and bring it up and get about a 6-inch depth of soil there. And we're gonna put that, take a stick or screwdriver and just kind of put that soil in our bucket. And when you do this, you want to make sure that you don't get any mulch or plant material or anything like that. So I'm just going to go around with the probe and the bucket, and we're going to get 10 samples about 6 inches deep in various places in this bed. Finish up with our 10th sample. And we got a pretty good representation of the soil in this entire bed. And you can see we've got quite a bit here. And now we're just going to take and mix this together. Stir it all up there and make one nice mixture. And if you find any plant roots or anything in there, just toss those out. Don't want any of that material in the sample. And then we just take our soil test bag, our sample bag, we've got right here. And I will point out that this is one of the newer bags. It's got the smaller yellow tag. Here is one of the old bags. You can see a lot different information to fill out, but not as much on the new ones here. but we're going to take and fill this bag completely. And when you put the soil in the bags, make sure that you do fill them up completely. Don't skimp on the amount of soil that you put in here. You want to get about as much as you can get in the bag and still be able to pull those drawstrings together. So make sure there's plenty of soil in there, because I was talking to some of the guys down at the lab, and sometimes they'll get sample bags in and they'll just have a tiny amount of soil in them, and it's not enough for them to do all the different tests they need. They have to separate that out and do the different tests, so they need a full bag of soil. Now sometimes, another thing the guys in the lab were telling me, that they take all these bags when they get them and they put them in an area to be dried. So it doesn't matter if it's wet or dried whenever you send the sample in, but sometimes they'll get the bags, they'll dry them, and they think the soil inside the bag is dry, and they'll open them up and whoa, they'll get a surprise like this right here, where the soil is actually inside a little baggie inside the sample bag. Don't do this. This is a method that wastes time. It kind of wastes resources, because it will not dry, the soil will not dry inside the plastic bag if it's placed inside here. So you don't need to do that. Don't put the soil in the plastic bag. If you're worried about some of the dust maybe coming through the bag, hardly ever does, but if you're worried about that sort of thing, you can put the entire bag into a Ziploc baggie like this, and that would be okay, because then they would know to take it out. Now once you get the soil in your bag and it's time to fill out the little yellow tag attached to the sample, and you need to be aware that home gardeners are not the only people that utilize the soil sample bags and our soil laboratory here at OSU. We have gardeners that utilize this service, also field crop producers like wheat growers, cotton growers, those folks, soil field or oil field industry people also use this soil test, nursery growers, greenhouse growers. So there's some information on here that doesn't really pertain to the home gardener. But for sure we need to check this routine test for the home gardener up here, or the home gardener needs to check the routine that tells us the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, the pH, and the buffer index. And another thing that it's important to check is down here. You don't have to put anything for crop or yield goal, but do check the garden. If the sample came from a flower bed or a vegetable garden, check the garden square, or if it came from your turf area or lawn, check the lawn box. And the personnel at the county extension office will help you fill out the information for your soil test sample as well. While you're at the county office, you can check out the fact sheets that they have, or you can print these online. This one's called How to Get a Good Soil Test. And again, it does consider all the information, not just for the homeowner, but for the field crop producer. So there's some information in there that's not necessarily needed for the home gardener, but still lots of good information. You can also, again, look at this pamphlet that you can get at the county office, and it kind of explains some of the other tests. If you want to test your micronutrients, kind of tells how much that will cost. And also on here is the website, Soiltesting.okstate.edu. You can go there and read about some information on soil tests as well. Well, good luck getting your soil test in, getting your beds ready for planting for next year.